If we go to the heraldmag.org website and we click on Online Bible and we click on Russell and we go down to Convention Reports Sermons and we download a PDF, there we come up with this document that documents that Charles Taze Russell said, "I am a Freemason. I am a free and accepted Mason if I carry the matter out to its full length." Because that is what our Masonic brethren like to tell us. Now, this document proves that Charles Taze Russell was a Freemason.
There are many creatures that are called God because God means mighty one.
Modern Christian groups that may be seen as espousing some of the principles of Arianism include Unitarians, Oneness Pentecostals, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Jehovah's Witnesses, Iglesia Ni Cristo, and Brahmanism. And the reason why these cults here are Arian is because Arianism was discussed at the First Council of Nicaea, and it was banished from the church at that time because it demoted Jesus Christ into a created being. What the Freemasons like to do is they like to demote Jesus Christ because the pure doctrine of Masonry is believing in a plethora of gods in Gnostic cosmology. And so in order to promote this ancient revival of the mystery religions, as they call it, they have to bring the deity of Jesus down into a form of Arianism. Again, Arianism is the cult doctrine that says Jesus Christ was a created being, and so therefore that means that he is not eternal God. And since he's not eternal God, he can be a created savior. And that's how the Gnostic Masons think about themselves. They are, quote, little gods that are saving the world through their work that they're doing. And so the secret doctrine is that they think themselves initiates as little gods, and that's why they want to bring Jesus Christ down into this demiurgic Arian heresy. Cross and crown, Masonic symbol, is what they promote. The original document is actually here, and it comes from this book, again, called Finished Mystery, and you can see it right here at the very beginning. And this is the book that was compiled and later edited by Rutherford, who was one of the heads. As it says here, Rutherford had become one of the 7 directors of the Watchtower Society when Russell died in October 31st of 1916. He joined Vice President Alfred First Ritchie and Secretary Treasurer William E. Van Ambra. And so we could see that this document here was later promoted by those in the Watchtower Society. And so this gives a direct link to the doctrine that Russell invented and later Rutherford compiled. It says here that Rutherford purchased the first 3 volumes of Charles Taze Russell's Millennial Dawn series of Bible study textbooks from 2 colporteurs who visited his office, who then viewed all religions as insincere, shallow, and hypocritical. So they went and promoted this Gnostic doctrine within the Jehovah's Witnesses of demoting Jesus Christ into the Arian heresy. Now, when we think about the Jehovah's Witnesses, we think, why would Freemasons start this religion? We know that as we've looked at the Mormons and we've seen the Seventh-day Adventists, that most of these cults started by these Masons are to bring this Gnostic cosmology into play for their New World Order. And that's why the translation of the Jehovah's Witnesses is called New World Translation. You see here, it very clearly says that it's part of the New World Order, or we could say it's a New World Order translation. And in this translation, what does it facilitate? It facilitates the demoting of the deity of Jesus Christ, that he is eternal. They've changed everything in this Bible. We couldn't even call it a Bible, but they've changed everything and are facilitating the heresy of Arianism in the form of Gnostic cosmology by saying that Jesus Christ is a created being. He's a lesser God. And that opens the door to Gnosticism's idea that there are many gods and not just one triune, eternal, co-equal, triune God. And so that's why this whole system of the New World Order, Masonry and everything has put out these false cults. We found this testimony by this YouTube user named XJWS1, and he gives a real good description. Here he is at the pyramid that was made by the Masons to, quote, honor the Jehovah's Witness founder, Charles Taze Russell. And if we see here, there's a huge Masonic lodge here, and we can see that the actual pyramid structure is right here. These are some photos up close that we'll see in the video coming up. And there's the Masonic lodge. Here is the pyramid, and this is where they say Russell is buried, actually.
When I was a Jehovah's Witness, I knew about this. I knew. Everybody, he was in the Proclaimer's book. Everybody knew. If we just chopped up to New Light. In 1914, and the pyramids, we knew that the world was going to end. We knew that he said the world was going to end in 1914. We knew that the pyramid was part of the calculation that he used to come up with 1914. But of course, they did away with that teaching and they gave the New Light. But that moment that I had of clarity, that moment that I just realized it was all baloney, all of that.
Yeah, it's interesting that he mentioned New Light. That's the mantra that these Gnostics always like to bring out with these new religions. The SDA said the same thing, that there was new light once the prophecy of William Miller didn't come to pass. And that's the same thing you see here. And here is a testimony of a Jehovah's Witnesses who's actually explaining it.
Stuff that I read about came back to me at that moment. Even like I would look it up on different literature that wasn't Jehovah's Witnesses, and I see, oh man, I would go to the library and I'd look at the stuff that they'd say, the bad things, every once in a while, and I would just chalk and push it aside. But at the end of the day, at that moment, what I knew deep down inside came out. And it was that moment where I was like, oh, this is it. When Deshauna told me, what, babe? It's like Big Brother. That moment I snapped out of it.
Yep, that's it. And that's why we're making this video, because these cults produce a certain type of mind control where guys like Russell here, who are doing their secret teachings and promoting their hand signs, they like to control the public with these false religions.